Excuse me, could you point me in the direction of Scream City? Never mind. I think I found it.
Hello, horror freaks. Welcome back. We are your hosts, Monica.
And I'm Jessica. And today we're talking all about the 2003 film, Freddy vs. Jason.
Yeah. And as always, we are always really excited to discuss, but of course we have to start off with our little peek and pit for the week. So, Jess, want to start us off with what your peek and pit has been this past week?
Yeah. Listen, I'll start off with my pit.
Okay.
And, so long story short, I got in a physical fist fight with Mandarin Chicken.
Mandarin Chicken.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I sure did. Mm-hmm. I sure did.
Okay.
Yeah, I got a really nasty grease burn on my arm. It's about maybe, 8 inches long? It hurt like a bitch.
Is it all bubbly?
Ew, no.
Okay.
I think I saved it on time.
Like right on time.
Right before it could get to that point. And then a peek. I presented at school today. I had a class today and I had to present for it. And I think I slayed.
Slay.
Yeah.
Love.
Yeah, what about you?
My pit is something that just happened. Jessica knows what I'm talking about, but I'm not going to put it out there because it's a little personal. And I'm leaving it at that. My peak, I don't have one.
Okay.
So we're going to just leave it at that, and we're going to talk about this film. You know what? Peak was actually watching this film for me because it brought up a lot of memories, and a bunch of nostalgia just hit me at once when rewatching this movie, and it kind of hit home in a good way. So I'm excited to talk about this movie. So this movie for this week is my peak.
Yeah, I love that.
So,
But finally getting into this movie, of course, we thought this was an appropriate movie to cover after covering both A Nightmare on Elm Street and Friday the 13th. So, for those of you who don't know, or who haven't watched this movie or just need a quick refresher, basically the synopsis of it, and I'm taking this from Google, is two horror icons face off.
two horror icons.
I'm glad that Google knows. I mean,
they're
slay icons.
Each other
They do.
to get the team.
They face off in this supernatural movie. Disfigured serial killer Freddy Krueger.
I am deceased. They said disfigured.
Who attacks his victims in their dreams, has lost much of his power since citizens of his town have become less afraid of him. It's kind of like a Santa Claus moment.
Yeah.
Because you know how
people don't believe in him anymore.
Yeah, so he can't be Santa Claus. You know what I mean?
He can't be Freddy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then enlisting the help of fellow violent murderer Jason Voorhees, Freddy orchestrates a new killing spree. However, when the hockey mask-wearing psychopath won't stop chopping up Freddy's intended victims, the two ghouls start to battle each other.
Making it sound like a salad. Yeah, so, I mean, shorter version is people start forgetting about Freddy, so Freddy's like, I need to install fear into these people so that I can go into their dreams. So, he does that.
He needs a physical...
he needs something to physically put fear into these people.
Yeah.
Because that's what Freddy is one of the things that he feeds off of. So that way he can go into people's dreams and then he can start his killings. But Jason, so he brings up Jason. So Jason is his key to this fear that he wants to, unlock in everyone. But Jason gets a little carried away because he's been dead for so long, and then he's like, time to kill. Yeah. And then Freddy's like, no! Those are my victims!
Yeah.
With that being said, Jess, what are your 3 for this movie? So your favorite scene, kill, and your first impression.
So, listen, I don't want to get, hung for this, but...
You probably will.
This was...
You probably will.
So this was actually my first time watching it, and... Yeah, I recently watched it for the first time, and... maybe because I knew what the ending was and I just didn't want to accept it, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, personally, I thought it was a pretty entertaining watch, and despite the fact that it was made in the early 2000s, it was a pretty good, like, you know, it was just like a good, fun watch.
Yeah.
I mean, I did think the characters were annoying.
But I'm going to be completely honest. I feel that way towards a lot of characters and, like, victims in, like, slasher films. Because I'm just like, what are you doing? And so I can see where that would come from. Because I feel the same way. My
favorite scene, I don't know. Like, I feel like the whole movie was super funny. And to me, any scene that makes me laugh is a favorite scene. So I'm definitely stuck between a few. But I think my top two would be when Kia confronts Freddy. And she's like, what kind of F word? Walks around in a Christmas sweater. And
she's not wrong.
I mean, hey.
But to be fair, do we know that, like, do we think Freddy's slave?
Oh, 100%.
Like, we think he's part of the Leebie-Jeebies?
100%. I mean, I think he's bi-curious.
Oh.
Yeah.
I like that. I like that. Okay. Yeah. And the F word that she's meaning is the slur for gay.
Right.
That we don't use.
The one that British people call a cigarette.
Yes. There you go.
Yeah,
there you go.
Anyway. And then, so I liked that scene because Jason kills her and, like, literally launches her, like, a million feet away.
Dude, I mentioned that later in the episode that I wrote out, but it's, like, that was one of the things where I was, like, dying. Because I was like, he didn't hesitate.
Yeah.
I also don't know what type of power is in that machete.
Girl.
But
it's the power of revenge.
That power of revenge is holding, like, that machete.
Yeah.
Like, don't get me wrong. I know knives and machetes and, like, things like that are supposed to be sturdy. Mm-hmm. But that right there, for the amount of killings that he's doing, I think he would be a really good salesperson for machetes.
Yeah.
Because he's like, you want to slay all day and not have your blade go dull on you for another, like, 6 months. This is how I do it. And then he gives, like, you know, a whole sales rep on, like, what machete brand are, like, great.
Works best, which one slices, you know.
Like, you know, it took me a minute to kill this person, but it took me literally 30 seconds to do this one.
Yeah.
So
it just kind of depends on, like, your time frame. Like, do you have a lot of time? Are you in a rush?
Like, what kind of work are you doing with this machete that you need a good recommendation for?
Are you trying to get a quick... Well, no, like, I thought about it. But, like, basically, like... Are you trying to have fun with it? Are you trying, or are you just trying to get things over and done with? You know what I mean? For sure. So.
Like, are you just starting with this hobby, or is this something that you plan on continuing and you want to invest?
Right.
If so, I suggest this machete.
Yeah. Yes. And then he slays the customer. And he's like, "I told you it was a good one.
I told you it would work. Isn't it great?" Yeah. He's like, "Oh wait, fuck."
So yeah, that was. I mean, those two are kind of my favorite scenes, but my favorite kill... Listen, I will say, I think all of them were pretty fun and cool and very gory, but I'd probably have to go with Mark's because I feel like it was such, like, an iconic Freddy kill. I feel as though I was watching, like, an OG Freddy movie because he slashes his face and then, like, burns him... like, sets him on fire or whatever. Right. But on his back, it's burned on, I think it says Freddy's back.
Yes.
And I was like, hell yeah, you are.
Yeah.
Like, that's my man.
He's, like, my first victim. Yeah. That I've got to do, like, you know, coming back.
Yeah.
And I like how, like, well, I don't like, it's, don't get me wrong, it's traumatizing. For this movie specifically, like, or particularly... I like how his friends got to watch him die. Like, out in the window, again, don't get me wrong, I know it's traumatic, but I think it's just, like, really fitting because it's, like, he's installing literally fear into 3 people at the same time. Like, his victim and then the 2 other people that are like, I thought he died.
Wait, guys, I'm just realizing I never finished saying my second favorite scene.
Your second favorite scene?
Yeah, or did I? I don't remember, but
okay,
whatever. I think I ended up with Kia's, but
we were talking about Kia's because you said you liked it, and then we went on a whole rant on how amazing Jason would be as a salesman.
Yes. Okay. My second favorite scene is when Blake uses his dad's decapitated head as a shield.
Oh my gosh, yes. And then Jason, again, with his amazing machete.
Yeah.
He literally just, like, slices through both of them.
Mm-hmm. I was like,
funny.
I wonder if that was, like an instinct from the actor, or if the actor, or if, like that was actually scripted. You know what I mean?
like if it was scripted or if it was improv.
Yeah. Anyway, what about you, Monica?
So, as I kind of mentioned at the beginning, rewatching this movie brought back a lot of nostalgia. So this movie is actually, I think for me, okay, like for the people who are older than me, I'm sorry. For the people who are younger than me, I'm giving away my age, right? So I was 7 when this movie came out. Okay, so for me, again, I have to emphasize on that because I know these millennials are going to come after me talking about, like, you weren't, they're going to be mad at me that I was not around for the original, like, 1980, before I was even thought of to be conceived.
Your sister, but you too.
Yeah. So I understand. For me, as a 7-year-old at that time, like, this was, I think, one of my first slasher movies to get into. So this was, like, a really big one because the two, besides Michael, like, the two, like, main slashers that have been going on since the 1980s, like, these two worlds combined. So it got everyone, like, riled up and excited about this movie. So I was, like, me getting into horror, I was like, ooh, what is this? So for me, it was, like, my first, like, it was my first slasher movie for me to get into. And then after that, that's when, like, I explored the different universes of each of individual ones, right? So for me, I either watched it with my brother-in-law and my sister, like, on a movie night, or I watched it with my dad. I don't know, I just remember loving it, and then I, like, continued to watch it. So watching it now is very cringe, don't get me wrong.
Yeah,
because, like you said, I know you said you watched it for the first time, so I was like, I can't imagine what she's thinking. But moving on to my favorite, I'm going to say my favorite scene first. So there are a lot of scenes that I love from this movie. There were some that were really funny, like the scene where Freddy says, "Got your nose," to Kia, after she keeps talking about wanting to get a nose job. I thought that was really funny. The CGI on that, however, is honestly pretty bad. Like, it's
the CGI
obvious.
Overall in that movie.
Well, to be fair,
it's
they were working in the early 2000s.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
And it's obvious. But yes, it is true. The CGI in this is almost as scary as what they were trying to make the film out to be. Mm-hmm. But I also really love, I like Gibbs' encounter with Freddy at the party. And that whole scene, that whole party scene, like, from beginning to end, is a really good one for me. Where Jason lures her into that warehouse. And I feel like this is one of the scenes where we get a really good Freddy scene. It's all red lighting. There's smoke pipes everywhere, and his knives scraping against the pipes. Like, it's very it's like very OG Freddy-esque, and it feels really, really cool. But I also feel like it's a really important scene because mostly there's that point where Freddy realizes Jason is having a bit too much fun with his killings, because Freddy is right about to kill Gib, but then Jason ends up killing her in real life while she's asleep. So then she dies before Freddy gets to kill her. And then Freddy was like, what the fuck? Yeah. And so then Freddy's sort of revenge shifts from teens to Jason. And then that's when later we have, like, the most, like, iconic fight scene, supposedly. But moving on to, like, favorite kill, there are some really cool kills in this one. I actually like a lot of them. Choosing a favorite was difficult, but I do have to say that I love the way that Trey dies, which is in the beginning, where Jason just folds the bed in half after, like, stabbing him so many times. Yeah. It's intense. It's typical horror slasher because he just finished having sex too. So he just finished doing one of the many sins that you don't do in a horror movie.
And I don't remember if were we talking about, like, vulnerability or something?
Oh yeah, like, we were talking about how being you're very vulnerable. There's something about being in a vulnerable state when you're about to get attacked. So for sure, I think that was definitely this. But the bed fold at the end was, like,
so
the most, like, oh, okay, yeah, this is where this is going. Yeah. So I want to just talk about or mention the ending a little bit, because I want to know how you feel about the very tail end, because before they show, you know, the scene where Jason supposedly wins, supposedly holding Freddy's head, it's kind of in what is it? Like, it shows that they both fall in the lake, so it's like they both die. So then you have, like, this relief of, like, or not relief, but kind of like, oh man, they both died. Like, somebody didn't win. And then at the end, they showed us that, like, Jason wins because he comes out walking out with the water with, like, Freddy's head.
Right.
Would you want it to be the opposite, or did you like how it ended in that way?
I don't know. Here's the thing. I've voiced my opinion before.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not Jason's number one fan.
Me either.
I do love me some Freddy, though. I do love me some Freddy, though.
He's iconic.
So, no, like, that's not how I wanted the movie to end. But I feel like Freddy isn't too mad. I don't know, because didn't he wink at the end?
He did.
Which,
he
like, I know it could just be a goof, but...
It could be a little goof. It could be a little, like... y'all think this is the end of this type of like vibe.
Like this shit ain't over.
Yeah.
And then it's literally been 20 years.
It's been 20 years and I'm still gonna keep going.
Yeah.
I think for the reason, I don't know if it's just because I feel bad or what it is, but I mostly just feel bad. I would have felt bad if Jason didn't win. Because like he's already not a favorite of mine.
Right.
But even the entire movie, people were like rooting, like towards the end of the movie when they were having their fight scene and everything, they were rooting for Jason. Like even like the teens and stuff, and then they were like, kill that motherfucker Freddy. But that's because Freddy also like killed a lot of their family.
Right. Yeah.
But I'm like, it would have been the opposite.
Yeah.
You know.
So
I don't know.
And like, why root for Jason if he's gonna kill you too?
That's true.
You know what I
like
mean?
after he's done killing Freddy, if he would have done it successfully, like, you know, with no scratches, like I'm sure he would have killed you right after.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I like that Jason won, even though he's not my favorite.
Right.
Because I feel like, as much as I love Freddy as like a slasher and like an icon, you know, he's very cocky.
He is.
So I feel like Jason was like, bro,
tone it down a little bit.
Tone it down a little bit.
Yeah.
And then he like slashed his head off, I guess. So that's why I don't know where it's coming from, but I'm kind of
okay.
glad that
I
Jason
think
won,
this is
even though
maybe
he's
where
not my favorite.
our friendship ends.
This is where this ends. All right, guys. No more Scream City.
Yeah.
But anyway, I just wanted to see where that was.
Yeah.
But I don't know if you really kind of paid attention, but I also love the soundtrack to this movie.
Yes.
Because
it's so good. Like,
the soundtrack to this movie is like very typical early 2000s horror movie where it's just all types of rock.
Yes. Yes.
Not like All American. What is it? All American
Rejects.
All American Rejects.
Or like the
type
Killers.
Of rock.
It's like heavy.
Slipknot.
Yeah.
Like all these other type of bands.
It's like good shit.
And it's really good. And I just thought we should mention it because I feel like we don't mention too much of a soundtrack for movies.
Right.
And I think the early 2000 horror movies have like the best ones.
Yeah.
Like I would own this on a vinyl.
Oh, 100%. I forgot.
That's a good one.
I think it's like at the beginning of the movie where they show like Freddy versus Jason.
Oh yeah.
I don't remember. There's a song.
The background song is really good. Are you talking about like when it kind of goes through credits?
Yeah.
Sort of,
like at the beginning.
The very beginning.
The very beginning of the movie.
I don't know. There's just something that's
it's just something
comfortable.
So comforting about like horror and rock. You know what I mean?
Meshed together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like every time we go to a horror shop, they're always playing rock music.
They're always playing some type of rock music. Like they just combine the two.
And I love it.
I love it too. And I also think because like I feel like both genres, like rock in music and horror in cinema, they're not like appreciated as much. Well, I think rock was not like taken, 80s, 70s like type of time, but it was more like AC/DC and like the Smiths and I don't know, I'm pulling bands out of my ass, but I'm talking like the real hardcore metal, like, you know, type of rock music. Like it's not appreciated as much. So then I feel like it's like the two, what is it? Like the two
like underdogs, maybe?
Yeah, like the two underdogs of both like medias.
Yeah.
They come together and then they're like,
they
it's all right, we're gonna vibe
together.
They fit perfect, and I think it's amazing. Yeah. So I just wanted to give the soundtrack a little shout out. But anyway, we can move on.
So getting into the cast a little bit, this movie had a cast.
This cast was great.
So many great people on this cast, of course. Of course, Robert Englund came back for this. Slay.
What a slay.
Which, if I'm not mistaken, I think this was Robert's last time playing Freddy.
I think that's true because then the only other Freddy movie that we get is the one that's in 2009.
Correct.
Like and the remake, it's not Robert Englund. I forgot who it was.
Ken Kurzinger. Kurzinger.
As Jason,
of course. Kelly Rowland?
Yes, Kelly Rowland.
There
Love
we go.
her.
Monica
Destiny
Keena.
Child.
Monica.
Monica Keena.
Jason Ritter, Catherine Isabel, Brendan Fletcher, which, hey, we've
already talked about him, and
have.
this is where I got it from.
Yeah. So we've talked about him already. And just, like, a bunch of other people, y'all.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of more people. Like, this movie was definitely jam-packed with iconic actors and actresses from the early 2000s.
I feel like we mention this in a lot of movies, but, like, that the cast, one, is iconic, but two, that there's always, like such early 2000 icons in these movies, but it's like, because it's true.
Yeah.
Like, you saw a lot of the same people in the same movies because they were just so fitting and they're, like, on the top of their game at the time. Or they're not at the top of their game, so then they enter, like, cinema world to try and, like, become famous again. So, I don't know. I love the cast in this whole thing.
And I know Betsy Palmer was asked to go back, but she was like, no. Like, it's
just like, no, thank you.
Absolutely not.
Absolutely fucking not.
Which, like, totally understood.
She was like, don't give me none of that remake stuff. That's not what I'm here for. But that's cool. I didn't know that. A little fun fact. The internet says that, and take this, James Wan was actually supposed to direct this film, but he couldn't because he was already committed to the Saw franchise. I don't know how much of that is true, and I wonder if it is true, because I feel that this movie would have done just a bit better with a James touch.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that? Like, if this was a James Wan movie.
Okay, I don't know if this is going to be controversial. I love James Wan. I love
Girl,
that
me
man.
Too. Me too.
I love that man. But for some reason, I see him more of, like, a paranormal type of guy.
Okay.
Which, obviously, like, I know that he does more than paranormal, but, like, I feel like because...
That's, like, his forte, maybe? Like, what he's really good at?
Yeah, or maybe because one of my first movies of his that I was introduced to was a paranormal, film. And I'm just like, I think of James and I think of paranormal. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I feel like, again, this movie had a lot of gore, a lot of blood, which I appreciated, but...
I feel this movie would have been worse in the best ways.
Okay.
Like, horror-wise, like, maybe, like, gruesome. And I feel like maybe the storyline would have probably been different. But I don't know, because I feel like the Saw franchise did so well. So not saying that I wish he would have done this movie, because if not, maybe he would have done the Saw franchise.
Correct.
And then...
Anyway.
This movie only has a 42% on Rotten Tomatoes, which I can see why.
Yes.
Right. It's definitely not like a 16%er or even a 20%er. Definitely above that. But I don't see this being like, 90% on Rotten Tomatoes either, right?
No, 100%. I don't know. I feel like a very niche group of people genuinely enjoy this movie. I think I do. I know you do.
I love this movie.
Yeah.
But it's more of like I can't tell if mine's more of like a comfort type of like
right.
love.
Nostalgic, maybe?
Nostalgic for sure. Definitely brings back a lot of memories. I mean, but I also think that the concept of it was really good to bring these two iconic killers together. Could have been done a little bit better. Maybe the storyline maybe could have gone a bit different. I can't think of... And then I thought about it and I was like, I don't think... Is it the best movie to combine famous killers or like to combine their universes? Probably not, because I think, if I'm not mistaken, like Kong versus Godzilla from 2021 did really well for what it was. Then again, we have better CGI now.
Right.
We have, a little bit
and I feel
better
like,
of a
yeah,
group to pick for like actors and stuff.
I was gonna say.
Yeah, that definitely has a lot to do with it, right? I mean, but besides the point, like with the film, I feel like if you're a really diehard Freddy or Jason fan, like individually, and then you saw this, you'd be like, I'm a little disappointed.
Right.
But I feel like for someone who's just kind of looking for something fun and like wants to know what like horror slashers are, I feel like this one's a really fun one to put on and just be like, combine the two. This is what you get.
I'm gonna ask an unofficial would you rather. Okay? And this just came to my mind.
Okay, this just came to your mind
this
right now.
This just came to my mind.
Right.
As I'm seeing the background right behind you. But
right.
So we have Freddy versus Jason, right? Who are two of the most iconic horror icons, basically, right? And they're very well known for... Well, not well known, but they are basically 80s, right?
Yeah.
Let's say, would you rather have a Michael versus Ghostface?
I was literally about to... Okay.
Or Pennywise versus
Like art.
The Nun. What'd you say?
Art.
Oh, well, I really was going to say art, but I feel like I know who would win.
100%. I feel like art is definitely, well, I don't know, because Pennywise can disguise himself as like a fear. So if you were to find Art's fear, which he might not have one,
Yeah,
but I doubt to believe that not a single person is afraid of not one thing. Whether you can say like you don't have, it can. I genuinely believe that everyone has one solid fear, whether it's something silly, whether it's something genuine, whether it's something that you don't even think about.
I mean, yeah.
But there has to install fear into someone.
Yeah, the nun is afraid of her
I was going to say, what if you put, like, the nun with the demon from Insidious?
Oh my god, that's good. Okay, fine.
You know what I mean?
Fine.
And then I was going to say, like, Pennywise with art, or...
Chucky versus Annabelle.
Oh, Chucky versus Annabelle would be so hilarious.
It would.
I think that would be so funny. One, because Chucky is a genuine, like, soul in a doll.
Yeah.
But Annabelle is a demon.
Yeah.
So I think it would be really funny to see what, like, Chucky
Who's
would
stronger?
do to encounter a demon like
Yeah.
that. I think that would be so funny. I love that,
I think
though.
we need
to come up.
Let's pitch this.
Where's James Wan? We need to talk about some pitches here.
Yeah.
But I think the nun and the demon from Insidious would be like a really good one. Again, if it was done correctly and like in a right way.
That would be so interesting.
Uh-huh.
Oh my god.
Or instead of Chucky and Annabelle, Chucky and Jigsaw. Because Jigsaw technically has like a man attached to him. Well, not anymore, but like due to the last film.
Or okay. What about Pennywise versus Killer Clowns?
Versus like all of them,
All
or
of
like
them.
a few of them.
All of them.
Pennywise versus just Killer Clowns.
Yeah.
I think that would be so funny to watch too.
Because they're both funny.
They are really funny with the way that they like.
Oh my god.
Are and kill.
You know who I just thought of? Freddy versus OG Pennywise.
OG Pennywise would be a really
because
funny
they're
one.
both extremely sassy.
I was going to say, I think the OG Pennywise that who's Kim? Tim Curry plays.
Mm-hmm.
I think him against almost literally anyone would be so funny to watch. Yeah. And the only reason I thought about Art was because they're both very charming, very funny.
Very handsome.
Very handsome. But, like, Pennywise can speak.
Yeah.
So then he's more sassy with the way that he says things and jokes about things.
Tim's Pennywise is
so good.
Funny.
It's so funny. It's so good. It gives Freddy Krueger, but in a clown.
Yeah.
And that's, like, the best thing.
Yeah.
I love it. You're like, I want to know more. I'm like, she's like looking around my room. Who else can we, like, put together?
Oh my god. Sam versus...
Ooh.
Oh no, Sam's a little baby.
Yeah, but he'd still be killing.
I don't care.
Sam versus Chucky would be funny.
Yeah. That would be funny.
That would be funny. I like the thought of, like, combining all of these worlds.
Frankenstein's monster versus me. I'm just kidding.
I think we all know who would win.
Yeah.
You. Because you would seduce this
Yes, I would.
a 7-foot tall man.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. When you put, like, the Universal Mummy or the Universal Monsters, like, if you gang them up and then you gang up, like Jason and Freddy and like all of them,
and Michael and
Ghostface.
Ghostface.
Yeah, like you team them up against like the Universal monsters.
Write that down.
The werewolf. That would be a good one. The Universal monsters versus the gang of like slasher killers, the modern day slasher killers. Dude. That would be so funny.
Hey, we're gonna trademark this.
We're gonna trademark this, and no one steal this idea because this is actually really cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
One last one.
Because they did Godzilla versus Kong already, so you know we can move on from that one.
Okay, what about Billy versus Billy?
Who's
the Jigsaw one.
Oh.
Versus the Dead Silence Billy.
Oh my god.
I would shit my pants.
I would shit my pants too. I love Dead Silence. We're gonna talk about that.
I'm so scared of that movie.
Dead Silence?
Dude, it's one of the first like horror movies that I watched.
You were like,
and I was like, absolutely not.
Oh, I love. Yeah. We're definitely going to cover that one at some point. And I have a lot to say about that one too. Yes. I liked it a lot. Not a lot of people liked it, but I liked it a lot. Yeah. We're definitely missing a lot of killers, but we're kind of naming just the most obvious ones. Yeah. I love.
Oh my gosh. Okay. One more.
The ideas are flowing.
Jaws versus Piranhas. Piranha.
Piranha, like
the movie.
Oh no, the alligator from
Crawl?
Yes.
Yeah. I don't think I watched that movie.
Jaws against anyone. Jaws against Ghostface.
Jaws against Snakes on a Plane.
Oh my gosh, Jaws versus the Bear in Revenant, the one with Leonardo DiCaprio.
Bitch. No. Jaws versus Cocaine Bear.
Oh my gosh, stop! That would be so hilarious.
Yeah.
That would be funny. We haven't seen the movie, but it does look pretty funny.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. That's a good one.
Yeah.
We're gonna save that one.
Okay.
Put a pin in that one. That one's good.
Put a pin in that one.
Put a pin in that one. That one was really good.
Okay, well,
Okay.
that was an interesting unofficial Would You Rather.
Unofficial Would You Rather. We'll definitely
We'll
make
circle
that.
back.
We'll circle back and we'll put it in like maybe an Instagram story, and then you guys can just fill us in with your ideas. But just know we will be stealing them, and we will be going to James Wan and telling him that we came up with these.
Yes.
So leaving that there.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I think maybe now it's time for the official Would You Rather.
Okay, yes. Today, yes. Moving on from the unofficial to the official, let's do a little Would You Rather? Yeah. So for this one, we tried to do the typical Freddy, like which one would you rather go against, Freddy or Jason? But who would you rather team up with? Would you rather team up with Freddy to go against Jason, or would you rather team up with Jason to go against Freddy? And who do you think would win truly in the end, whoever you team up with?
Okay.
Now remember the ending of the film.
I remember.
Oh, I remember.
I remember.
And I'm gonna get me. I'm gonna give me my revenge.
Yeah. Here's the thing. Like, yes, Jason is a big boy. I need a big boy. Anyway, yes, Jason is a big boy. Mm-hmm. But where's the fun in, like, he's not fun to
And see, this is the thing, because I've seen a few other Jason movies, but I really do think that he shows a little bit more character in his kills in this movie. But I also don't know if that's just the actor, or if it's, like, how he's supposed to be portrayed as. I feel like he could be fun.
He could be.
But
I feel like I would need someone next to me just, like, saying really funny jokes.
Okay. You want some
I want
character.
some pizzazz.
You want some pizzazz in your life.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I would team up again. I would team up with Freddy against Jason.
Against Jason?
Yeah.
The part of me that feels bad wants to team up with Jason to go against Freddy. But I already don't sleep, so I feel like I could be on Freddy's side.
Yeah.
So make like a little pact. Like, hey, man, I already don't sleep. Like, if anything, instead of trying to go against you, I can,
We can team up together. I'll help you kill. You help me sleep.
I'll put some Traz.
Yeah.
In literally everyone's cups.
Yeah.
In their water cups. We'll put some Trazodone in there, and then we'll just kind of, enter some dreams.
Yeah.
But anywho.
Anyway.
Well, okay. Since both unofficial and official Would You Rathers are pretty much out of the way, we can kind of go towards the end of the episode now. So before we leave completely, we can go ahead and rate the movie. Now, for this horror movie, we will have our two scales, our satisfactory and our scary scale. So just because a horror movie is good doesn't always mean it's scary. So, and vice versa. So, Jess, what would you rate this movie?
So, scary for me personally, like a 5 out of 10.
Yeah.
There were scenes.
There were scenes, like
where
eerie scenes, but not necessarily to the point
Right.
where you feel shook.
And I feel bad for saying this, but I can't take them seriously. You
know
know what I mean?
not at all.
Especially this movie.
And I feel like
this film.
Yeah, and I feel like that's one of the things why I probably didn't do so well.
Right.
You want to be able to take horror seriously, but it'll be kind of hard.
And then satisfactory. I'm gonna give it an 8 out of 10.
An 8 out of 10.
I really, yeah.
Like enjoyed it.
I enjoyed it.
It's like a silly goofy movie.
Yeah.
Nothing too crazy.
Yeah. It's like
a good vibe.
It's a movie that I can put on when I'm like, I'm in a silly goofy mood and not in like, I really want to watch a very scary movie.
Yeah, like I'm in a silly goofy mood to feel comfortable and
Yeah.
to watch some OG stuff, like, and I know I don't have to pay attention to it,
Right.
like type of stuff. Like, yeah. I think the same for me. For scary, I gave it more of a 6 out of 10, mostly because of the gore, but also because I remember how I used to feel when I watched this movie for the first time. I wasn't like terrified, but I was like, oh, that's scary. You know what I mean? But as far as satisfactory, I'm giving it a 9 out of 10. To me, it's a really good comfort movie. And for those exact reasons too, like it's something that I can just put on in the background and enjoy and like call it a day. I think that concludes our Freddy vs. Jason episode. It looks like we are nearing the end, but as always, this was a blast to record. And thanks again, of course, to everyone tuning in and listening. We truly appreciate all of you. And if you want to keep up with us, we will have our social media linked in the summary of the description of this episode. I struggled a lot through that entire paragraph. Yeah. Anyway, we thank you guys a lot, and we really hope that you guys enjoy this episode.
Yes. And I know we always say this, but we sincerely do appreciate all of y'all for listening and supporting us. And we won't forget y'all when we're bigger.
We're a lot bigger from now.
Which, hey, y'all need to follow us on TikTok if you're
not
already.
Follow us on TikTok. It's getting great over there. We're reaching a bigger audience because I know TikTok is kind of the thing right now, but we hope to expand that audience to, other social platforms as well.
And if you're coming from TikTok,
hello.
Hi. And thank you for giving us a chance.
Thank you.
And for
appreciate you being here. But yeah, with that being said, please tune in to our next week's episode where we talk about the actual James Wan movie, Saw. The 2004. We'll talk about the first one mostly, but we can mention other parts of the universe as well. I'm excited about Saw. Saw is one of the iconic ones that we see quite a bit of merch for. A huge universe.
Saw. I don't know. I feel like I don't think I've said this before, and I hope I haven't. But I genuinely think that Saw introduced me to gore, and that's why I like it so much. I feel like it's a really good one to...
And Saw, back then, if you could watch Saw, you could watch anything.
Yeah.
At the time.
Yeah.
Because that was, the most gruesome that it ever got. But...
I feel like nowadays Saw is it's a beginner one.
It really is. I mean? It really is. Because then I watched many gore movies after that, like Hostel and...
Some crazy shit.
The movie that I actually hate and I can't watch to this day... The Hills Have Eyes.
Oh, yeah.
That movie traumatized me. Can never watch it again. But yeah, so I'm excited to open up that can of worms because that is going to be a great one to talk about too.
I love
that. But thank you guys again for listening. We will talk to you guys next week. And as always, we've been your hosts, Monica.
And Jessica.
Stay safe and stay spooky.
Oof. That was scary. I can't wait to come back next week.